Casual Magic has been brought to you by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can get cool stuff. Use the code CASUAL for 5% off your order. We're also sponsored by Quiver Time, makers of the Quiver and Bolt deck cases and other fine card-holding accessories. Use the code CASUAL on their site for 10% off your purchase. And by Architect, a deck hosting website that doesn't sell anything, but they like me and I like them, so kindly use them for all your deck list needs. Now, on to the show. Hello and welcome to Casual Magic, the show where we talk about the fun side of Magic the Gathering. My name is Shivam, and Casual Magic is brought to you by Cool Stuff Inc., Architect, and Quiver. Today I have a very special guest, dear friend, a person I've run into multiple times who is super just like here all the time. You appeared out of nowhere, and I'm very intrigued by this existence that you've created. But we had a lot of really fun chats when I was up in Portland and elsewhere. And so I'm here to welcome, I don't know, what are you, a TikToker, a content creator, a EDH player, VeggieWagon Ye. I know you have a real name. I don't care what it is because calling you Veggie makes me happy. Hi.
Yeah, no, I don't. I'm just a guy. And that's, I think, why I've stuck with it, because I know a lot of people in the space are like, oh, you can use my people name or my online name, or only use my online name. I'm like, I give my people name to whoever wants it, but I'm like, just Veggie seems to make people smile, so we'll stick with that.
I mean, honestly, for me, I used to have a handle that I went by for a long time, and I still if people call me Tal, I still respond. But then, like, my first job out of college, like, I was on a message board for retro video games, and my boss the head of the message board is a dude named Jeremy Parrish, who's a very famous retro video games writer and former editor of a lot of video gaming magazine, whatever. He gave me my first job out of college to be an intern at 1UP and with Ziff Davis and all them. And when I got there, I realized it would be weird to be on his forum with like a fake name and then working with him every day with my real name. So I just shifted over to using my real name, and then it just stuck because at the time there were not that many Shivams on the internet. I guess India just hadn't made it online. Now there's 20 bagillion of us, which is why I can't get Shivam on Twitter. However, it just happens to be conveniently easy for me to do it. The one problem is Magic fans, which is sad because it's my entire community. Because Magic fans look at my name and they're like, how did I pronounce Shivan Dragon when I was 12 years old? That is how I will say your name forever. And I'm like, that's fair. Wrong, but fair. I mean, I'm not like it's hard to compete with the most popular card of all time, right?
We just had a pronunciation of that on Decked Out that was Shivan, and it was like, whoa, okay, that's all right. That's that's a choice. So it's great to be on your show, Shivam.
For the longest time, for decades of my life, that's what like they called me in school, because even though I'm like, my name is Shivam, and they're like, yeah, Shivam, Shabam. I'm like, oh, the foreigner life. Like, you get used to it, or you change your name to Jim. You know, it's like, like I've got uncles, like my uncle Takor, when he came to America in the 70s, just changed his name to Joe. And I'm like, I get it. Mm-hmm. Takor is hard. It isn't, but it I guess it was in 1965.
If it's different, it's hard.
Yeah. I'm like, you can pronounce Krzyzlowski, but right. Like Shivam is hard. I guess there's not enough Z's in my name. Anyways, Veggie. Mm-hmm. So here's the deal. Like, you are a very wholesome and incredibly funny person. And that is something that I appreciate quite a bit, because in Magic we have people who are funny and we have people who are wholesome, and they're not often the same, but they do try. But it feels to me like you appeared in the grand consciousness of Magic fandom on Twitter, at least like a year ago tops. who the hell are you? Where do you come from? And how did you just like suddenly I know you're on, you have your own like commander channel now, right? Like
Hmm.
you work with MTG, Nerd Girl, and like other folks, and you guys just put out a commander show every week ish.
Yeah, yeah, that's weirdly, I guess to me now the main thing that people know me for is decked out on YouTube that I put together with MTG Nerd Girl and Airball MTG, and that's like the most recent era of me, and it still feels very new. I still think of myself as like the guy that put out a couple funny videos that people liked, and uh, then surprise, I'm doing magic stuff full time.
You know, I feel like that creeps up on a lot of us. Like we're just like sitting there like la la la, I'm just doing some funny things and suddenly this is my entire like personality and career. And it's like, how did that happen? Like I was like peripherally involved in magic at all. And
Mhm.
then like I wrote some essays and Prof, who was a friend of mine from my local store, just kind of shared them. And it turns out when your friend from the local store is also the literal most popular person in magic, uh, that tends to direct you places. And lo, here I am with my own podcast network, I guess. Um, it's weird because like magic was not my first hobby or only hobby, right? Like I was a D&D player and a Dragonlance player, and Dragonlance died, and I needed something to do, so here we are. Of course, now this is the only thing I do, which is like, how did I get here? Um, so like you were a TikToker, right?
I don't think of it that way, but uh, I never intended to be a TikToker in the first place. I just needed an outlet for uh, song parody videos, and TikTok is the most lenient for uploading those types of videos. Like YouTube does not like you using anything close to a copyrighted song, and TikTok is like, oh, I don't know, we'll figure it out. And so that it was just like it was it was quarantine, um and I was just looking for any creative outlets, because I needed them or I would go crazy.
Yeah, you're looking at
And
my creative outlet.
yeah, see, we understand, and
Oh,
then
for sure.
suddenly your creative outlet is the thing that you do all the time.
Right. Right.
Yeah, but I I had always like made song parodies, whether it was just like for my own personal outlet or to entertain friends, or I found some other like public kind of open micy things that I could do them at. And so I had these ideas and I was writing during quarantine. I was like, let me put a video to this because I think it's fun and funny and I need to do something.
Mm.
Um, and TikTok was the only place I could put it. And so I think I made that TikTok just to upload a video. I had not been using it before, and it found the right people.
I mean, that's the best we can ask for, right? Like when, like folks like you and me who are like hyper extrovert creatory types, we just put stuff out there because we're going to make it. So
Mhm.
whether anybody's listening or not is not really the relevant part. It's the I got to get this out of my system so you can deal with it now. It's your problem. No takebacks.
Mhm, mhm.
But like TikTok is so good about helping people find a an audience, like even more so than Twitter, even more so than other like kind of contenty like algorithmically driven things. TikTok is such a good way to just like I need to get on TikTok honestly. Like now that Twitter is kind of like just fading away,
Mhm.
I need to start doing my like card of days and whatever on there. I'm sure I can handle that. Um, so let's actually pull back like 300 steps because I feel
Okay.
like I'm trying to go backwards, and that's a weird way to start a show. Because when you and I met in like person, was the first time we met in person? No, it was at like various Magic Cons and stuff, right? Like we met.
Yeah, like super in passing,
Yeah,
a group that I am with runs into group that you were with. There's like
right.
hello and then scatter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, I mean that's Magic Con for you.
Mm.
But you and I had like a really long conversation when I was in Portland for taping Shuffle Up and Play with Prof, and with Kuro Itugi was there with us,
Hmm.
and you and I and him sat in like the cold in the patio until like 1 a.m, just talking to each other. And like, because I'll be honest, like before that, you were just another dude in the sphere, but I was just like, this guy's a weirdo, but not like a creepy weirdo, but just kind of like an oddball in the like screwball. It's like screwball comedy type of just like pratfalls and very big
Yeah.
motion type of thing. You had cosplay. You had done, didn't you do like the weird Elish Norn cosplay or something with like a hanger on your head?
Yep. Yep. Yeah, I had the Norn budget, or as I've lovingly named her, L-ish Norn. Um,
Yeah, like that's what made me laugh so hard. I'm like, okay, I need to know who this dude is because you're funny as hell in the kind of way that appeals to me, which is like it's self-referential humor and it's not like dogging on people humor, but it's just funny. And I'm like, I like that. That's fun. But when I describe it like that, though, it makes me seem like an old.
Wait, what does that make me?
Yes.
I don't know. That's I've always leaned that direction because I think it's more of an art that way. It is very easy to get a cheap laugh with things that are like crude or vulgar, and I'm not above that for
Yeah, sure.
sure. But I like the challenge of like, can I produce something that is like stupid but clever, and can appeal to a lot of different people, and doesn't have to use any of that like safety net of like he, but I also said that funny word
Mm,
that is mean or whatever.
yeah.
um so I don't know, that's always been me.
So where did you come from? Like, or
So I
rather,
was born in Seoul, South Korea.
wait, were you really?
Yes.
Oh, that's cool. I've been to Seoul.
Mhm.
It's a lovely city. Um, when did you move to the States? Like early, or were you transported
I
here via means?
I was transported here via means. I was adopted at 5 months.
Ah, cool. Well,
Yeah,
I mean,
so
is it cool? Hopefully, it's cool.
I
I know
mean,
that sometimes
I
it's
think it worked out. I mean, here I am. So,
cool. Yeah, no, I mean, I know. Uh, in folks of our generation, there was a large population of Korean adoptees who like kind of came around
mhm.
that time, and like some in my neighborhood, there was a large number of them, which is it
Mhm.
seems now in hindsight unusually concentrated. But yeah, like my best friend was Korean, but he's not adopted. He was from a Korean family, but there were other Koreans in there, and so we ended up like Korean was my second language growing up, is what I'm trying to say,
Hmm.
which is also weird for somebody who grows up in San Jose, California, to immigrant parents that are not Korean. Um, but you know, when you go to your best friend's house when you're like 3 or 4 years old and you're hanging out and grandma's talking, you learn to speak what grandma's saying. And grandma did not speak English. Grandma spoke Korean. And so, you know, we are like, you know, gamsamnida and all that. And it's good times. But anyways, I don't know, listeners, this is normally this part that I would do before we started recording. This is like the pre-show where I normally would warm up the guest and we would get into the flow of things. I talk about myself, get out of my system. I didn't do that this time. So here we are. I'm going to reorient myself because now 15 minutes in, this is the Shivam show, and it shouldn't be. It should be the Veggie show. So we're going to redirect ourselves. When did you find magic?
I found magic a while back.
I was going to say, I'm like, if you
I
said 2021, I was going to hit you.
Yeah, oh my god, I was like a little kid. It was like, yeah, 2021. Yeah. Um yeah, I can't imagine that anybody, would have found it before then. No, it was like early 2000s. The first set that I played was Onslaught.
Mm.
And I only discovered Magic because I was playing Yu-Gi-Oh very badly. And the friends that were in that group were like, "Hey, you gotta try out Magic the Gathering," and I'm like, "This looks dumb." I was like, there's no show, there's no TV show that goes with this. Why would I ever play this? Like this, right? This swamp that has what, 4 words on it? Why would I play this? Look at these Yu-Gi-Oh cards that have 50 words on them. That's way better. And they finally brought me around to it, and I tried to I very honestly tried to play Yu-Gi-Oh within the confines of Magic, and that did not work. But yeah, that was me back in middle school, I think.
Hmm. Yeah, that's fair. I think you and I are of a similar generation in that, like, because like Yu-Gi-Oh is definitely starting around when I was in early high school. Because like Yu-Gi-Oh, the game came out in like the mid '90s or something, right? Like,
Hmm.
because Onslaught Block was, I want to say it's 2000,
I think that's right.
or 1999, 2000, something like that. Yeah. So, did you stick with it the whole time, or did you do what we all do and come and go?
I only came and went one time. Um, because once I was in, I was very, very in, like all four legs, all fully submerged.
All
Uh,
four legs.
I, uh,
Veggie the
and
centaur.
and the only yeah, right. The only every wagon has four legs. I this I like I think I kind of like reverse did what most people did, and I went to college and I could not find anyone to play with.
that is
I know.
that is very bizarre.
It is very bizarre.
College is exactly the place where you find people who have the right combination of too much money and lots of time to do BS
Exactly.
with.
Yes. And I did kind of. It should have been the ideal place for me to continue playing Magic. It was a very, let's say, main Magic like demographic school.
Hmm.
I was there. I was their minority, like 1%, and it was a lot of very, very rich kids. But yeah, I don't know what happened. There just nobody was playing there, or I couldn't find them, and so just I would play very casually with like 4 friends when I would go home for the holidays, and aside from that, it was out of my brain. So I think the last set that I remember was like Shards of Alara, I think.
Hmm.
And then I did not come back until Arena released.
Whoa.
MTG Arena brought me back into Magic.
That is wild.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, actually, no, because like that's actually kind of the same path I took. Was like, I played through, I skipped for a very lengthy chunk of time. I came back because of two things. One was Duels of the Planeswalkers on Xbox, which was right
Mm-hmm.
around the end of Alara block or whatever, and beginning of Zendikar-ish block. And then like a lot of people came back in that span with like Innistrad and that. And then the second big wave was Arena coming back and everybody being like, oh, I remember that game from when I was a kid. Let me jump in and play it again. I think Arena and Duels are both phenomenal drivers of grabbing people back. The
Yes.
thing that always makes me like bug out is when I hear people like, I started playing Magic with Arena, and I'm like, how? Like, that's wild to me to think about, that there are people who are like, only just like pick up a card game because of Arena only. I'm like, how
Right.
do you even
Well,
find that?
I'm kind of jealous though, because for those of us who had to start with the paper version, um, the paper version of Arena, we had to go through that gauntlet of like people trying to teach us how to play.
That's true.
Right? It's like, oh yeah, okay, so it's very simple. You just draw a card, then you play one of these land cards, and then complete word vomit of like, all right, here's all the things you can do, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, and then you just go through like a couple years of being absurdly bad at it, and Arena, I think, does a very good job with their tutorial of doing what nobody else could ever do, which was teach Magic fairly concisely.
I think one of the things that Arena does really well is that it doesn't fall into the trap that every human does, which is here's how this works. Now here's the 38,000 exceptions.
Mm,
And here's the reason I lost that last game to that jerk on the street because of
right.
this one corner case rule that is not going to be relevant to you if ever,
Yeah.
and I'm like, look, when we're teaching people how to play Magic, teach them to play. Don't worry about everything else. That just like this is a land. You need a land to play the thing that's got the little dot in the corner. Count how many numbers there are. You need that many of these things to put it out. Like we don't need to be like, okay, well now if we're playing Monolith Dredge in the mirror, I'm like, okay, bro,
Right.
let's
Yeah.
take 38 steps back and hang
Right.
out.
I haven't learned the stack yet. Like,
Yeah, like
I'm saying that me veggie now. I've not learned
oh.
the stack yet.
The stack, dude. You know how it took me literal decades and having Reed Duke explain it to me directly to figure out how priority worked. And I'm like, I've been playing since like the dawn of the game, and holding priority is still one of those things. I'm like, I don't understand. But you know what the trick is? Like if you play one game of Magic Online, once you learn the system, so I guess 100 games of Magic Online, you will know the rule system of Magic inside and out because it will stop for everything.
Yeah.
It sucks. But yeah, so like when did you start decide, like was it in college that you started deciding to like do like performancey things? Like what did you go to school for? The loaded Asian question, right?
Oh, so yeah. What did I go to school for? I went to school for biology and chemistry, and I did make it out of there with a degree in chemistry. And by the time that I touched that piece of paper, that was I was fully set in not ever using it. So like I would always been like a performer, just in personality, and then throughout school doing whatever type of performance I could, but band and chorus and drama, and then in college I was able to really lean into that at the expense of my studies, um, and it was through those 4 years where I was like, oh, I have messed up. This is not, I am not on the correct path here. I have to perform. That's where I'm supposed to be. And as soon as I got out of college, I was like, great, I have this degree that I can fall back on. That is a very lucky position to be in. Now let's do a complete 180, and I'm going to brute force my way into the theater and film industry.
Oh Jesus. Oh boy. That must have flown over wonderfully with the family.
Oh, yeah, that was a very difficult conversation. And like, I think that my parents took it, I think, as well as anyone could expect in that position of, oh, we for like, 20 some years have helped to support you in this thing that we thought everybody was on board with, including you, that we see as very secure and like it is good for everybody, right? And you're telling us that you would like to do this incredibly risky change of course, that you have no credentials in now, aside from, well, I liked to do it in school. You have no formal training. You have nothing to prove that you may be good at this. And they were still like, well, we cannot stop you. We are reasonably not pleased and about this, and we are worried for you. But you know what? Go and do your thing, and we're all gonna figure it out.
That conversation went very differently in my household. Because I went in with a double major in biochemistry and computer engineering. and I came out with a double major in English and international relations, focusing on
Same thing. Yeah,
Japanese.
same thing.
Same thing, totally. And my parents, of course, are like, I did not schlep my ass across the world with like a pocket full of change and desperation and eat 20 years of Taco Bell so I could send you to school to come back a nerd. The wrong kind of nerd on top of that. Oh yeah. Even today they're like, so does this podcasting thing make you any money? And I'm like, TBA. Yeah, but boy, yeah, that is a rough one. So what did you do? Like, how do you get from there to like this career that you've created of this commander show, right? Like,
I
I
don't
guess that's a
know.
lengthy span of time. Like what did you do? Did you try to go to theater?
I did. So yeah, at that point, the only things that I had going for me were I was, I think, pretty good at it. And I had like maybe a few connections locally, because of either like professors or friends, but I was in Baltimore, Maryland, and that is not the not the hottest area for for
The
making a
theatrical
living
arts?
off of the arts. Like there actually is a fantastic local scene for like new and experimental theater, and you also have like DC that's nearby for professional theater, and there are like uh one or two professional regional theaters in that area. But like if you are trying to make a living off of it, that is not the place to be. So I just did everything I possibly could. I was like, okay, I know that I'm not going to be able to pay my bills right away off of this. So I'm going to take whatever jobs that I think are useful, adjacent, whatever. And I'm going to make sure that I have some time in between to go to auditions that I can find or whatever. I took a job as a singing waiter on a dinner cruise ship.
What?
Yeah.
I get, you know what? That's people have, somebody has to do that. Like that job exists. Somebody has to do it. I don't think I've ever met anybody who has.
Hello.
That is amazing. I need to know about this. How does that work? Like, how does that work? How?
It was it was an experience. So the base idea, for all you people out there, is that you're a waiter. You are you're the server for a table. It just so happens that this is a meal on a boat that like goes for a little sail in whatever local water you got. And at some point during that cruise, the all of the wait staff comes out and performs in some way.
So you're not singing the specials.
I am not singing the specials. That does happen in some places. I didn't have to do that. I don't
and buy yourself a cocktail tonight.
Right. Nobody wanted that either, because the joke on that boat, like internally, was that I would dance loud enough to cover my voice.
Oh my god!
And, I mean, it was very useful to be there because I got to keep my like performance muscles flexing. Even though it was just like 4 minutes every shift, I got to be me. I got to be Veggie for 4 minutes, and that is very, very important for us, for extroverted creative people. And I made some connections.
Yeah, and there's something to be said about the fact that even if it's something as dumb as singing waiter, like you're still singing, you're learning how to read a crowd, you're learning how to work a crowd, how to like, adjust to your audience, how to like figure out what's handling. Even if you've only got 4 minutes, that is still, if you want to be a performer, that is a skill you
Mhm.
need to have, right? Like you
Yes.
need to, if you didn't work or if it did work, right? And like that maybe impacts your tip or your business for the evening. And
Mhm.
um I think there's a lot of validity in just because like what I'm getting here is honestly one of the most interesting, like not interesting, but just like that's hella brave, man. Like you had a legit degree, you had a family that was supporting you, and you were like, I'm going to do this other artsy ass thing, which is very much not in line with the assumptions and discussions that we had in the previous 20x years of my life. Um, but it's one thing to be like, yo, mom, I'm gonna go and be a band, and another thing to be like, yo, I went and like schlepped as a singing waiter and learned, right? Like there's something of deep value and of like in the persistence of that. And
Mhm.
that to me is like amazing because there's a lot of people who can talk, but it's not a lot of people who will actually get into the weeds and go and do the thing they want to do. I didn't have the courage to do that. Like that's wild to me. Like, geez. But you obviously didn't stick with that because singing waiters is not the end goal here.
No, it was also not the best company to work for, but it got me like, okay, I can do this. I'm able to find jobs that I feel are useful, and like I made a lot of friends with people that taught me some stuff and helped me to get a little bit more in. I was also uh like getting some auditions, and I was landing roles in like local commercials
Oh, that's cool.
and like some smaller theater things in the area. Like somewhere out there, there's a video of me like talking the like prototype version of the Instant Pot. Uh, I don't know where it is. They never sent me it. I never saw it on the internet. But yeah, there's a bunch of very funny little things
Come to
that
Veggie's used car
right.
depot.
Oh,
That's actually that's
yeah.
that's actually legit respectable, man, because that's like you stuck you decided to do it and you did.
Mhm.
That's wild. Like
Yeah.
how did your family support this?
They they supported me. They wanted the best for me. I don't think they ever got out of being worried about it. Um, which is
Mm.
very that weighs on you. That is hard. That is hard. Um, even and like it, they had just kind of gotten to the point where they're like, okay, I don't think he's like in immediate danger. When I did start, I like the long story short is I worked my butt off, and did what a lot of people in that area could not do, and uh, I I got my actor's equity card.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
yes, uh, I was getting cast in the two regional theaters there, and like uh, it was reasonable for me to go down to DC and getting cast in some things there, and so like it
That's a
things
real
were
grind,
looking
man.
very
That's like
good.
the real grind.
That was the real grind. Like I was I was doing it. Like my college was citing me as the like as like, hey, join the theater program because this one guy made it. And
Dude, you know what? That's nothing to sneeze at, right? Like that's hardcore.
right, and then I messed up.
Oh no.
So I got the I entered the union, and that opened up a lot of opportunities for me, and I thought I had outgrown the area,
Rookie mistake.
and I I made a big move to Boston. I had a friend who had just bought a house there, and like it was like over the winter holidays, and we were both We were both very drunk, and he's like, and I'm like, congratulations on your house. That's so incredible. Like, and he's like, yeah, we're gonna have to run one of the rooms, I think, to like help to pay for things for a little while, but we're ready for that. And I'm like, oh, how ridiculous would it be if like that was me in there? And he's like, yeah, that'd be so silly. And then like the moment of us like locking eyes, like, oh,
But
wait, we
what
can do
if?
this. And then within like a week, I was on my way there. And I the two things that killed me. One, I had made a deal with myself while I was grinding out this life, that I would not take a 9 to 5 job uh, that was not directly adjacent to what I wanted to do. And I'd even like promised myself more once I was finding this success. Like, I'm just straight up like no 9 to 5, because that stifles a lot of like
Hmm.
of things that I could do. To get into the area, I still had to build my network there and everything, and go to
Sure.
auditions, etc. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to take this 9 to 5 job with this company that I really like, and that I have like an easy in with. Did that, and I loved working for that company. I have nothing against them, but it did. I was right. Like it.
It it's
I got stuck in a 9 to 5 as opposed to working on what I wanted to work on. And the other thing was, I was not ready for that. I did not have any credits that anybody up there cared about. I had one very good connection that like I showed up and gave the worst audition of my life to, uh, and I it it almost went very differently. I did have one. I was like through to the final round of casting for like this role alongside Chris Evans in uh an Amazon show. And like that would have been
holy crap.
a wildly different trajectory, I think. But that's final casting is still that sounds great, but realistically that's still a long shot from there.
Yeah.
Um and so I fell into like I I didn't know if I would be able to continue down that path. And I was like looking at, okay, can I realistically, how happy am I just doing this job with this company? If that is the way that my life goes, am I satisfied with that? And what other ways can I, like, what other outlets do I have for me personally to do creative things and be happy in life? I didn't have to make that decision because then the pandemic hit.
Oh, I mean, lockdown definitely made a lot of decisions for a lot of people. Like, I mean, before that, I was working a job I hated for a very large company that was also one of the most secure and long term jobs I'd ever had. That paid enough for me to buy a house and have a child and buy a couple cars. Live a Silicon Valley lifestyle.
Mhm.
And then pandemic hit, and they sold my division to a different company that said, "Hey, we're taking your technology and sending you on the way." And then I was like, I'm burnt out and I've got time and it's pandemic. I'm going to take care of my kid, whatever. And I'm going to work on some of these side projects like casual magic. And now we're post pandemic. And I'm like, I went back to that same company and got a job again. And it lasted a couple of months because I was like, oh, I hate this and I don't like any part of this. And also, they're not supporting me in a weird way. And it came and went. But I was like, that's definitely not the world I live in anymore. but, but I still live in Silicon Valley, which means I need to find a way to continue living in Silicon Valley because I can't just pick up and move to Iowa because I have a family. That makes for a challenge. But yeah, like, so in the pandemic, then, like, did you like, because here's the thing, song parodies are one of my favorite things in the world. Like, I will do it all the time, every year for like Christmas time. I will sit there and grab like card names and like write out lyrics, whether the title fits Frosty the Snowman or Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer or
Mhm.
something like that. Just because there are so many card names that fit the cadence of Frosty the Snowman, and I'm just like, I love this, and
Yeah.
yeah, as like
And
it's one of my dear passions to do like super nerdy song lyrics, and so like watching your parodies makes me smile because I'm like, look, there's somebody who's doing what I'm doing, but can also do it instead of just shooting stuff on Twitter.
oh,
Um, so I'm glad that you at least found like a random outlet during the lockdown to be able to be like, hey, what if I just kind of did this for
mhm.
to kill time, right?
Yeah, and it was both things that led me here. That started during that because I was like, okay, need this outlet. I'm gonna put these videos up on on a social platform, and found some people there. And the other thing was I started streaming
Oh.
because that as another outlet with the friend that I was living with, we were just like, well, we are just playing Super Smash Brothers every day. What wouldn't it be funny if we started streaming this to all the children on Twitch and made enough, to buy snacks and those two pieces just then kind of like merged together into me being like, oh, I'm finding my people, and this is satisfying all the everything I needed out of a life in like film and theater. I can do this right now. Like this is not uh this is not dying like my like my other path.
Yeah, and like if you were gonna pick a time to be a like start a Twitch stream or whatever, pandemic is the time, right? Like we're all at home and had nothing else to do.
Mhm.
Um, the how did you get connected to Nerd Girl? Like, because you're in Portland. Portland is not Boston or Baltimore. So clearing across the country to go and do a commander show is a whole nother leap, right? Like
Yeah.
that's pretty nutter butters.
It happened in two pieces. The first piece, so I had I've uh been streaming video games, and then I started doing some Magic stuff on there on Arena, but like in as like a grindy player because I was like I was like, oh yeah, and I'm gonna play super hard and like show everybody I'm the best. Blah blah. Blah. It was not working, not working. Um, but I was also doing a little of that on that channel, and then I see this post from Nerd Girl saying, I am starting a Magic streaming team, uh, and it's going to be all the biggest streamers, like I'm already working with, but also I'm opening it up to applications, and anyone can apply.
I remember that.
And I said to myself, okay, let's test that. let's let's see, because I'm like, it still had been like a fun hobby up to that point, um, and so I had n- no numbers, no credentials to that were worth anything. Flashbacks to me jumping from chemistry degree to acting. I'm like, oh, I've been here before. Um, so instead of filling out the application form, I made a video. I made a video application and I sent it to her. And um, I'm like up a little later than usual one night, and I'm like have work in the morning, and I get a DM saying, "Hey, we just watched your video live on stream.
Oh
um,
no.
would you like to do a live interview right now?"
Oh god.
I was like, let me put pants on. Um,
Mm.
and yeah, because I think what had happened was she's like, oh. hey everybody, look, some idiot sent me a video applying for this team, so let's watch it together. And it was at least uh, it went over well enough where she's like, all right, we're gonna call him. So we got on a Discord call, and I'm like, it's like 2 a.m. for me, and I'm like, yeah, oh, love to do it. No, trust me, I'm funny like that all the time. Ugh. Um, and so she took a chance and put me on the team with a bunch of very popular people, and that really helped to uh, like bring me to a wider audience. And I learned so much from everybody on that team and her. Um, and so then worked together for like I like a year or something, and I had worked on some videos for the team, and like we had met a few times at events, and we were I think discussing another like promo vid for the team, and somehow got on the subject, and I was like, ha ha ha, and I could just pack up and move to Portland. And then like in a day or something, she DMs again. It's like, so how serious were you about that? And I was like, how serious? Not really, but like, is it a thing
You're like,
that
I've sung this song before of jumping drunkenly across the country.
And she's like, okay, look, I've been thinking about starting this commander show and like been planning it out, and would you want to do that? Specifically, the like work on the show, move here, work on the show. I was like, that is, who would ever do that? That is so risky and wild. And yeah, I'll do it.
That's completely baffling. I mean, it fits in your character. It fits completely in your character. You are proceeding in plot. You are not outside of the bounds of the script here. However, it is also completely nutter butters to be like, hey, I'm going to leave this relatively secure job that isn't doing what I want in my life to jump across country to do a commander show and live in somebody's house. And what the hell? Like, I'm sure if your parents are already on like the precipice of like chewing their fingernails off with fear, it's like, this probably did not help. I mean, not that you should do anything for your parents. I understand. I mean, I come from a different culture where this sort of thing, my mom would haunt my dreams if I like just picked up like that.
Look, I think most people would like for their parents to be happy, and they understand that they have a hand in helping that, and I feel that way. I do not understand what it is about this. They got it. They understood much more than the acting ever did. I don't know if it was like
the fact that you'd already
moving
done
across
it,
the country, but what?
The fact that you'd already done it, maybe, and laid the groundwork for this.
Maybe, but like even to that point, like they were still very relieved when I moved to Boston and was like, oh, I'm taking this job at this company, and they're like a real one. And it's like, not just it's just a survival thing. Not they're like, okay, all right, well, keep us posted on that job and let us know. Like it was still like they still never really got past the point with the acting and things. And for some reason, I don't know if it was because the move was so big or because I had like a I don't know. I like a physical thing to show them. Like here is the show on YouTube. Like here is big number. I guess. But I could show them those things in theater too. I'm like, you came to my show in the biggest theater in in the city. Here's my pay stub, here's my contract, and that wasn't quite enough. But I don't know what it was, but they're like, yes, we are on board. We are only worried about you being across the country because we don't know how often we get to see you, but something about it, they're like, we got it, great job, this is what we see success here, and that makes us happy, and we're happy for you as well.
That's wild. Because like I'm sorry, and I'm genuinely sorry. I don't keep meaning to drag this back to myself, but you keep saying things that are relatable that remind me of things of my life, and so I'm like, oh, I need to tell you this thing, like because I got published in Electronic Gaming Monthly, which at the time was the literal number one video game magazine in the country, and like I was working there and I was writing stuff, and I had my picture in the magazine. I showed my dad. I'm like,
Mhm.
look, I have done something with my life. I am in print, and he's like, I don't read in English, and I'm like, God damn it.
Right, well, that's yeah, and then this is why I think this is why we just we vibe because we it's different worlds, but like they're
Yeah.
getting closer and closer in the same paths. But yeah, you're like, how do you not understand this completely? Sure, you don't read in English, but like I'm in it. Like
It's
this is
my
really
face is in
it,
the thing that millions of people are going to buy and read. Come on,
right.
give me this. And Dad's like, yeah, but are they paying you? I'm like, yes, they're paying me. I'm in an
Right.
office building. I'm staff writer. That's what it says.
Right.
Yeah,
Right, look at this
but
program. Like my face is right there next to that person that you watch on TV, and it's come on.
yeah, and it's like it wasn't until I got like a gig at Sony PlayStation or something where my dad's like, Sony, that's a company I recognize. I'm
Mm.
like, fine, we'll take it. Uh, but like my mom now though is like, oh, you have podcasts, huh? Okay, fine, good. Just keep doing it. Do whatever it takes to make people sponsor and pay you. And I'm like, I am trying. Like I think they've kind of come around to this like, oh, you're this big deal in this very weird space that I don't know anything about, and I wish I hadn't bought you those damn cards when you were 12. Um, but like they're coming around to like their main thing is like, look, you have a child. Can you continue to support said child with this? I'm like, that is a fair question. But yeah, it's just like these are the kind of leaps of faith that are very hard for a lot of people to take because it's terrifying. It's like deep uncertainty into a field that is crowded and success is not guaranteed in any way, shape, or form. Like,
Yeah,
I'll be honest, when Decked Out started, I was like, oh, another Commander show.
that's fair. Yeah.
Like, and that's not a slight against you. That's just like, there are a lot. And you guys have built quite a following and you're putting out consistent content and your show looks good, which is many levels above a lot of things that come and go with one or two things. Um, like I tell people like when you, because people come to me with like, hey, can you give me podcast advice? I'm like, yeah, if you can get past 7 episodes, you're clear. Because 7 episodes is where people will be like, I'm out of ideas and tired and I quit. But if you're consistent and you do it and you show up and you make a product, your fans will find you. If you're going in there saying, I'm going to make $1,000,000, it's like, no, you're going to fail. That is the wrong way to look at it. But you gotta kind of fight through that urge to quit and keep pushing when it gets boring and bad. Otherwise, this is not a career. This is just a thing you did for a couple of hours and put on the internet as like your equivalent of that song Friday. Like the YouTube song where mom and dad pay for us to go and get a music video done vanity style, and we go and my friends get to sing a song and look, I got to be a star.
Right.
And, but memes. But the thing is, like, the fact that you're consistently and regularly progressing forward, it's like a very control game. Like you have inevitability eventually. If you survive long enough and keep removing the crap in your way and just keep inching forward and doing incremental like extort damage or something, you will win. But it's been neat to watch you kind of like build yourself a presence, and then like you became an ambassador. We got a jacket, we got the little cup and the whole thing, and it's neat.
Yeah.
And like
It's very cool.
it's very cool. Come on. But again, you and I are both in this position of here's the thing we did not expect was going to become the main thrust of our lives. That is now the main thrust of our lives. It's like, well, here we are. So guess we're gonna do that now. Where did VeggieWagon come from?
So I was on a road trip with my dad, and a truck drives by with a bunch of vegetables in the back.
Hmm.
And he looks over and he just goes, "Well, that's a veggie wagon right there," and then just keeps driving. And it took me a moment for me to process. Uh, like, no, wait. That's not a
That's not a
phrase.
thing.
That is not a thing that people say. That is how where did that come from? And it was just like, it was one of those just pure human moments that stuck with me so vividly. And I want I want to have such confidence in my nonsense that I will it into reality, even if just for a moment. And I think that is what that represented to me. Is like, this thing was very inconsequential, but it was inconsequential and silly, and he just committed so hard, and like did not was not trying to do a thing, was not doing a bit or a joke or anything, just like truly believed, yes, VeggieWagon, that is a thing that is said by people, and I will now remark on it. And that is what I want. I want to be able to make that moment, even if just briefly, where my nonsense is reality.
It's like spontaneous absurdity. That's the sort
Mhm.
of thing that we like strive to find, right? Like it's funny as hell for a reason that doesn't make any sense. It shouldn't be. It is like it's like honestly, the kind of humor that I go for is like Dadaist humor. Like Dadaism makes me laugh until I cry, or like just wordplay that's weird and bizarre. And so
Mhm.
like Veggie Wagon is just the funniest thing in the world to me, because it's
Right.
like, what? Why is that? What is that? It doesn't even matter. Why am
Yeah.
I still laughing?
Right.
It's
And
like
like on multiple levels of just weird, silly, like, okay, the meanings of the word together, like that's fun and silly. And like the sounds, like the sounds of the letters, like, you it is fun to say, and like, rolls off the tongue, but in a weird way. And so, like, that's I don't know,
it's
it
funny.
just felt
It has
right.
no
It is
business
funny.
being funny, but it's funny.
Right.
Because I'm trying to find one thing on my computer right now, which is you reminded me of. There was a an old website that used to make fun of English, which is like,
Mhm.
when like Chinese, Japanese companies would put out English language things, and it was put out by a bunch of Asian people who would find like old manuals or box art that is just
Yes,
like
I remember this.
hilariously like terribly typed. And give me 10 seconds here. Talk amongst yourselves. Um,
Yeah, because it would just be like, just the tiniest, like, change in translation or interpretation of certain words that would drastically change what it meant in
exactly.
English. And you're like, yeah, please don't murder the battery. Like, what?
So this was a Son Goku toy, and I'm just gonna read for you a smidge of it just because you remind me of it. This is like the sort of thing that where my humor comes from, um,
Mhm.
which is basically it's called Saiyan Wheeled Ways and Means, which is to say this is the back of this object. It's supposed to be a Super Saiyan that you hang from a hook off the ceiling with a rotor that then spins, right?
Okay.
And so with aperte and rotor of screw setting, pre-sealing on the understanding that screw no wield. May wield two-face pressboard securing, wield pre to begin with wiping of bilge dasto. Thread of length need half as many again as Tad. Open toy of batteries shuck. Verification batteries. Whereafter stow down to certainly need locknet less to place accident. And you're like, what the hell is going on? Why? But like halfway down, it gets to till the cow comes home. Why does it say till the cow comes home? What is what the hell is going on? And then the final, like it's got like 12 like kind of things it goes through, and the last one above the big warning is like may pre-house the seamy side volatilization, and it ends exclamation point. And I'm like, this is the funniest goddamn thing I've ever read in my life. I will send it to you later just because I know you, of all people, will
Yes,
appreciate
please.
this. But it just makes me laugh till I cry because till the cow come home is one word. There's not even a space in there. It's till the cow come home. And you're like, what till the cow comes home? We're talking about a toy. Why is there a cow?
Also, just as a side note, I think the world needs more dramatic readings of English by Shivam. like that was
Sorry. It's just like that's like when we laughed for like a good 10 minutes when you and I were hanging out in Portland and you were driving me back to like the hotel or whatever, and we were just punning off your name. And I'm like, this is so funny to me.
right, because that's I we're like getting in a territory that I will talk about for forever, but like language is such such an accessible like unifying factor for people, and when you have a thing like that, you have such a wide range for comedy, like that the it is such a simple thing that everybody understands and everybody can relate to, and then but it's absurd when you get down to it, like, oh, I'm making mouth sounds and that makes you imagine like a tiger, okay, and that, and then yeah, like you there, every single level above, like from that base up, there's something that you relate to that is like that is silly in some way, and that's, I don't know, there's actual magic to me in that, and
Have you ever played the Ace Attorney games?
no, actually,
Like Phoenix Wright and all those games?
yeah, I
If
have
you have
not.
not, you must. Because you, of all people, will appreciate the fact that, like, um, for instance, there was a guy, one of the villains in the current case that I'm playing was a dude who is a journalist, and his name was Ryden Many Memos. It
I
is so. But this is the joke that really just sold me on the whole thing. The first game takes place in modern Japan, and your first prosecutor that you're fighting against, because you're a defense attorney, your first prosecutor they're fighting against is a dude named Winston Payne, as in Winston Payne. And he's this old man, he's creaky, and he's always just like Winston Payne. And you're like, okay, well, that's a cute pun, whatever. The new game, the Great Ace Attorney, takes place in ancient, like Sherlock Holmesy times, like 1800s or whatever. And you were going through your first case, and this is the tutorial boss. And like, okay, we need a tutorial prosecutor. So we're going to have the Winston Payne's ancient ancestor be your prosecutor. The name they gave him, because it takes place in ancient Japan, he's wearing a full kimono and the whole thing, but his face is kind of the exact same. His name is Auichi. Ouchie. Winston Payne's ancestor is named Ouchie, which is the funniest goddamn link I could think. That's so good. It's so good.
This reminds me of so as a tiny child, uh I there was this format of joke that I would write myself constantly, and just like as soon as I thought one up, I would tell my parents or whoever was around. um they're called books never written jokes,
Yes.
and where it would like it you are always making a name based pun, um like a book never written, uh I missed the school bus, or I the yeah, what is it? Now I'm like, okay,
Oh my
go back
god.
to my childhood, right? I have to, yeah, like, book never written, I have to walk to school by Misty bus,
Yes.
and like
Yes. Yes.
it's
Oh my god. I had a joke book full of these as a kid, and they were like the funniest. I I'm doing the fingers between your eyes and my eyes for the audience
mhm,
thing, because you and I,
yeah,
we are
yeah.
on the same page right now. Oh my
Yeah,
god,
because
I
I think
love
that's
those so
probably
much.
what got me in, was like, my parents, my mom is a librarian, and that also was hugely uh like hugely formative for a lot of me. But at some point, she got me a book of those and was like, "Well, this is brilliant. Like this is I must contribute." And then that there was a long time where I was making my own.
Breathing lessons by Hal Etosis.
Exactly.
Under the Grandstand by Seymour Butts.
Yes.
Anyways, I'm not going to do that all because, like, God, I could do this forever. But like, I do need the audience to know though that like, Kega the Tide Star and Ulash the Hate Seed can both be sang to Frosty the Snowman. Ulash the Hate
Oh,
Seed is blah 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 blah.
I need to make a volume 2 of one of my favorite videos that I made was a fake commercial for a Magic the Gathering Christmas album,
Yes.
and it was all tiny snippets of parody songs, and so it was all holiday songs. But I do like some iconic lines from it, but as parodies. And I was like, this makes me very very happy. And it's just like 10 or 15 of them packed into one video. I'm like, oh.
Limdul the Necromancer has a very shiny eyes. And if you ever sought him, he's just Raven Man disguised. I've spent years doing these stupid things because I'm a troubled human. Oh my god. We really ought to collaborate someday. I think it would be hilarious. At least to us. It would be funny to
Oh,
the
we
two of us.
and that's always my audience. Is just you.
Me.
No, it's I'm like, if I laugh at it, then it's worth it. Like that's my baseline. So like,
That
yeah, we write these for ourselves, and it's we're then grateful that anybody else finds it funny.
I mean, that's like my entire podcast like thesis here. It's like, I am making this for me. If you are enjoying it, that is upside.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, that's all value, buddy. Like I was talking to Wheeler the other day when we were taping another like 3 hour long marathon of whatever the hell. And it was just like, you know, we do this because we would be doing this anyways. We just flip the microphone on because we might as well share this while we're yeah, man. Oh, God, I don't know. I think you are the exact, like, I am the exact audience for your flavor of humor, and it makes me smile every time, and I love it. Uh, magic cards are good and things.
Mm.
Play them. Periodically, sometimes like these interviews get like, I forget the cardy part, and people are like, "You didn't talk about magic cards again." I'm like, "Yeah, whatever,
Oh yeah,
casual."
right. Magic cards.
Yeah. What's it like having to make a commander deck brand new all the time for the show? How annoying is that?
It I love deck building. Deck building is probably my favorite part of the game. Um, it's yeah. I'll say that for this. It'll change every day, but I really love deck building. And this gives me the opportunity to make just wildly different decks constantly that I either wouldn't have had the cards to make on my own, or like, oh, this is, I think, a super interesting like commander, but it's not my style. I really enjoy that. It is just difficult when sometimes it is, oh, we need 20 decks um, in like a week and a half, and I get help. I get help. But as far as the decked out team goes, between me, Nerd Girl, and Airball, I have the most experience in Commander as a whole, and so I volunteer myself to be like, hey, I'm going to tackle more of the deck building here, and then they're handling some of the other pieces while we're preparing to record.
Hmm.
But it's also in a fun like puzzle. I generally know what's in my own collection. I generally know what's in their collection, and ideally, we are not like buying 100 new cards for every time. But you still then want to, you want interesting games, unique commanders, and I like to always build with at least a few cards that I don't think people have seen before.
That's
So it's like
hard. I mean,
balancing
yes,
all of those things. Yeah.
it's I mean, like, there's 40,000 Magic cards. It's not like the end of the world, but it's hard because, like, then you have to find copies of this, and then you have to test it, and then you have to figure out one thing. No, never mind. It's challenging. But your show is fun. And so congratulations on that, and good luck, and I wish you all the best in doing this. And if folks wanted to find you and find your content and stuff, where could they go?
You can find me on the internet at VeggieWagon in most places, and you can find Decked Out the show on YouTube, at Decked Out EDH. But I'm pleasantly surprised with how much more findable we are. So if we just pop up on your page, also click on it and take a look.
It's a fun show. It's worth your time. And Nerd Girl's lovely. So it's like it's nice to see her exploring Commander more. But yeah, thank you so much for joining me today, man. It's been delightful. This has been really fun. And I'm sorry about dragging it to me. It's very egotistical of me. I apologize. But this is neat. I enjoyed this a lot.
Yeah, this is a lot of fun. I mean, I knew that it was going to be a good time because, like, what we've had honestly one other conversation of length, and that was delightful. So
that was. You guys got locked into Shivam's story tower, and it was just stuck for like ever while I'm sitting there giving you old man stories. And I'm surprised you guys didn't be like, "Okay, buddy, it's time to go to bed." Yeah, if you guys ever end up sitting down with me for like an hour, you are going to hear like everything you've never wanted to know. And it's lovely. But anyways, my friends, if you want to find me, you can find me at Gear Reporting Gears. You can find this podcast anywhere podcasts are sold, or at Cool Stuff Inc. every Tuesday, or at YouTube every Tuesday. Thank you to my brand new editor, Daniel May, who is lovely and is trying to fill the footsteps that EK has left behind. EK, we love you. And I thank you for getting me this far, and good luck on your journey forward, too. You can also find me on Shivam and Wheeler Love Magic, or the Chronicles of Dragonlance podcast, both of which come out when they do. And on my Patreon, I guess, and I should do stuff with the Patreon more. Like, Wheeler's like, if you mention your Patreon, people will go there. And I'm like, that's reasonable. I guess I could do that. If I tell people, maybe they'll know. Huh. But yeah, anyways, my friends, remember, it's not magic without the gathering, and we'll see you next time.